So we are going to kick off this virtual manifesto starting with Mr. AB.
Everyone is creative. A creative life requires action and bravery, and we are here to support you, celebrate with you, and encourage you to make the things that you love.
We believe in the power of community. We believe in giving a damn. We believe in face-to-face connections, in learning from others, in jazz hands, virtual claps, and virtual snaps.
We bring people together who are driven by passion and purpose, confident that they will inspire one another and inspire change in the neighborhoods and cities around the world. And everyone is welcome. So thank you guys for being here. Many of you might not be aware that Creative Mornings is 100% volunteer-based, so really give a round of claps or snaps wherever you are to, oh, am I on the right slide? Yes, to these folks. Erica, who's our usual breakfast boss, but everyone is now just an all-around boss. Natalie, who's our copywriter, Caitlin, Heather, they're the best. Thank you to our lead sponsors who help make all of our dreams come true with their support, as well as our other partners too. Spark, Mighty, Atomic Object, Conduit, Tech Systems, the UICA, and LaFleur Marketing. And thank you to MailChimp, Creative Mornings' official global partner for marketing. MailChimp has been supporting Creative Mornings for over 11 years, which is a lot. And they have been a true champion of this global community and creatives in general. Our also generous sponsors offering you, our April Creative Mornings attendees, 3 free months of their paid standard account plan. It applies to new and existing customers, and all you need to do is read and fill out the form at the link that we're sharing in the chat. And this offer expires on April 30th, so make sure to hop on it ASAP if you're interested. So thank you, MailChimp. And thank you to WordPress, our official global partner for web publishing. As we navigate these uncertain times, some of you may be interested in moving your business online or updating your website with new offerings, products, or content. You can set up your website for free, and if you find you want to add on features, be sure to visit this link to get 20% off your account plan. You can also snag this link in the chat. And if you don't already know, we are thrilled to announce that Basecamp joined the Creative Mornings family as our newest global partner. Basecamp helps organizations, teams, and individuals manage projects efficiently and effectively, keeping everything in one place and super organized. Our sponsors really, really love our creatives, guys. Basecamp wants to offer all attendees 6 months free of Basecamp business. That's like $600 worth of having your professional-ish together. All you have to do is take a selfie with your computer, showing that you're here, and email it with a short note to the address on the screen. Our friends at Basecamp will give you a 6-month credit on a new or existing account. You can also find this in the chat. And here is our hello from Ferris Coffee.
Hey everybody, Dan at Ferris Coffee. Hope everyone's doing well. Even though our cafes are closed, you can still get our products online at our web store, free shipping, and use promo code CREATIVE10 to get 10% off your entire order. Thanks and take care.
So you can also find that discount code in the chat. Creative Mornings is a global organization with over 250 chapters across 67 countries. Every month, we're all connected by a global theme, and April's theme is purpose. This month's theme was chosen by our Indianapolis chapter and illustrated by Jason Ratliff. Now, I am so excited to introduce our speaker today. Dawn Benson is the owner of Globe Story, a content company focused on multicultural brand messaging strategy and copywriting. She teaches the culture smart story strategy based on 2 decades of experience as a writer, storyteller, traveler, and student of culture. She believes we're all on a journey toward discovering ourselves. And as a result of her own journey, she's in the midst of launching A Wider Table, a blog and podcast designed to cultivate honest conversations and share stories that encourage us to leave room for new perspectives, new ideas, and new people in our work, faith, and life. Let's give Dawn a warm virtual welcome in the chat and through the claps while we switch things over to her.
Right, now we get to
Yes.
see how we do this. Maybe I'll get to see my skills, my technical skills, whether they exist or not. All right. Okay, can you see my screen so far?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Okay.
We see your slides right now, like the second screen. I just did this too. If you go back to share, you can click this share screen button. You should be able to click just like the view that's just the presentation. Perfect. Nailed it. Take it away, Dawn.
Okay, so you're seeing the right one? Okay. All right. Okay, so you all see good morning, right? All right, perfect. Okay, so obviously, first of all, I want to say thanks to everyone for giving me a reason to wear actual pants today. And I can't believe I just said that as a speaker in any kind of event, but anyway, and kudos to all of you also who are dressed wearing pants, even though I cannot see you. Too bad we don't have video and you couldn't all show us, because it really is a big deal, and you got to get the 80s meme in here too for me. So I want to jump right in because we have kind of a short time and I don't want to talk forever, but I'm gonna jump in and give you guys a poll. So if I were to ask you to tell me, if you could tell me what your purpose in life is, what would you say? And the poll should pop up. All right. And you've got three questions. And while you guys are doing that, go ahead and jump in and start answering. It should pop up on your screen. And then we'll see it live, what's going on there. And while you guys vote, I also want to say that I would love for you to ask questions. So as we go, if you have questions, feel free to pop them in the chat. We're going to pay attention to them. Gather and use them at the end. And as I don't know if I'm talented enough to watch them as I go, but we're definitely going to address them at the end. So how's the poll going?
So we have 76% of people have voted. We'll give you guys like 20 more seconds to fill this in. Nine more. Speak now or forever hold your peace.
All right, come on, guys.
I am closing this in 5, 4, 3, 2. There's our results. Can you see the results? Oop, I think I have to do that. There's the results. Going back on mute.
Oh, wow. A little bit of half. And then there's always the good one, the honest people who are saying, I hate the word even. Awesome. So honestly, this poll, it's a bit of a trick question. There is no right answer. And those people who know me and my friends also know that I kind of have this love-hate relationship with even the word. It's always been the idea. It's always been a struggle for me. So it's even a bit ironic that I'm even talking about this topic today. So let me get my slides. So what I want to talk about today is when it comes to purpose, I really don't believe, I know it can be stressful to some of us and think, oh my gosh, I have to figure it out. It's like this holy grail thing. But it's really not. I've come to believe that it's really not this one and done thing, that if you don't figure it out, then all of a sudden the rest of your life you're screwed, and you have no hope for a good future. And so I actually believe that it morphs and changes as we go. I am gonna move my video for a second. Okay. Because it's in my screen. Okay. Sorry about that. I believe that it morphs and changes, and I also think it's a little bit problematic to tie things, to tie it to things that we know can change, like the work we do and the roles we play. And I'm going to give you a personal example of why that's true. So a few years ago, I had what looked like a really Instagrammable life. This is actually a screenshot from my Instagram. So I was in a 16-year-old marriage. I had this thriving business. I had more work than I could handle. And I was spending 5 months in Europe. I was traveling all over. I'd figured out how to work, have laptop will travel worked for me. And I had this great life. But the reality was that my marriage was in trouble and I couldn't figure out how to fix it. And so in that time, everything just started kind of crumbling for me. I was no longer a wife. I had a faith that had very little room and definitely not a whole lot of compassion for my experience. And when it came to work, I couldn't focus. I would have anxiety attacks in the middle of the grocery store. I watched a whole lot of Netflix. And I started to question, do I even want this career? And I was asking, who am I? Who's my purpose? What is my purpose? And so that began my journey in wrestling yet again with the whole idea of purpose. And when I started to really see that it didn't need to be tied to the role that I played in the work that I did, it needed to be tied to something that could not ever be taken from me. So for me, when I look at purpose now, and I actually don't even usually use the word purpose anymore. I like to look at it as the important work that's here for me right now. And for me, I see my purpose as showing up in love to those around me and to myself. And I like to do it, and to do that in ways that use my unique skills, maybe my life situation and personality, all those things rolled in. And so I think that doing that requires me to be the healthiest, truest version of me, and to be the me who's best able to love those around the world, those around me, myself. And I do think that looks different in different stages. And that's why I like looking at it this way, because there's room for those life stages. So invariably, we're going to be more focused on our work at different times in our lives, and it might shift to family or caretaking, etc. So I think the best way to keep a pulse on our purpose is actually to know ourselves, to create practices that make space and help us connect with wherever we find inner wisdom. So there are 3 things that have been super helpful for me on this journey, and that's what I want to share with you guys today, and I'm hoping it's helpful to you as well. First one, permission to pause. I think it's so important to create structure in your life that creates places to pause. How many of you guys feel a whole lot of pressure right now to produce? Go ahead and put it in the chat. Tell me what you're seeing. Pressure to do something new. Do you guys all, Rebecca says that they see the pants slide. Is that true?
Not anymore. We see the permission to pause slide.
Okay, cool. All right. So I think that a lot of us right now, there's all this stuff out there, right? So pressure to keep a job, to be the perfect e-learning parent, to sell more, if you own a business, to sell more, to do more, organize, alphabetize your pantry, all these things that we're seeing, learn French, all that stuff. But I really think that when we focus on productivity, that we miss the possibility of transformation. I think right now is a really great time to just give ourselves permission to pause and to listen, and to take time and space and to ask the questions that matter. Instead of worrying about trying to sell all these things, let's think about, am I selling what I even want to sell? Am I actually doing what I want to do? Am I on the path that I want? Or am I just this hamster wheel? And I have no idea. Do I feel like I'm on this hamster wheel and I have no idea how to get off? And I think it's super important during this time, to think about all those things, and then also think about how maybe you can bring those things forward into your life when things go back to normal. So, and I think if you don't think about that, then when everything starts again, we're all going to be on that hamster wheel again, right? So a personal example for that for me was when I was overseas in Kosovo. I was working on my business, doing that from overseas, and people kept asking me, they would call me and say, would you like to have a coffee? And I'd say, sure, when? And they'd be like, well, right now, of course. And I remember being super frustrated, where I was like, oh my gosh, like, nobody ever plans anything here, and they just call you in the middle of the day and want to have coffee. And it's a cultural difference. They're much more of a being culture than a doing culture. And I was so used to the doing. So finally, I just said, you know what, I'm just going to live life how they do, and I'm going to try it. And so what I noticed is, after those 5 months being in Europe and coming home, I was so much more relaxed, so much more chill, that I really took some time to think, okay, how can I feel this way now that I'm back in the US? I wasn't so, naive to think I could just change the culture and start calling people and they're going to come have coffee with me immediately. So for me, I just started to think about how I could bring those feelings forward. I started to make boundaries, and for example, I don't answer emails and take phone calls after 6 p.m. I started deciding I'm going to go to the beach instead of talking about going to the beach. I'm going to spend so much more time with my friends. So that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. Think about how maybe what you're feeling now, if you're feeling a sense of calm, or there's things that you like about the way life is right now, how can you bring those feelings forward into the future? And I am going to put on a slide for each one of you guys a practical practice that I use. I'm going to offer at the end, you'll all get an email, a PDF download you can go to my website, download and get it. So I'm not going to go into tons of detail about how to do each one for time constraints, but you can also feel free in the questions to ask me questions, and I'll be happy to unpack a few of them in more detail for you. But centering prayer is something that has been completely life-changing for me. And also there's a lot of great meditation apps and yoga as well. Second, feel so you can heal. I'm guessing that you all have lots of feelings right now. Some of you, put in your chat, and go ahead and put in your chat. Tell me how you're feeling. Some of you, I'm guessing it's going to be all over the board, which is totally fine, completely normal. So I think that, and what I think might be interesting for all of you is that I think we're all feeling different things and on different days. And you might feel like you're on this emotional roller coaster. So I'm seeing a lot of overwhelmed comments in here. Stressed out, anxious, lots of stuff, easily annoyed, mood ring of I love mood ring of emotions. That's awesome. That's exactly what's going on with me. And what I want to say is that our feelings, they contain information, important clues for us. And so it's really important not to tamp down those feelings and to ignore them. And I want to throw out a big word for each of you, and that's the word grief. I heard this podcast recently by Brene Brown talking with David Kessler, and you all should go find it and listen to it because it's super helpful and timely. But he talks about the fact that we are all dealing with grief. And I know that's a scary word. And sometimes you think, well, no one in my no one I know died, but grief really is just a loss. It's a loss of anything. So for us, and feel free to chat as well about this, just for each other so you can see what's going on. But I think that we all feel like we might have lost something. So if there's something you feel like you've lost, feel free to put that in there. Like for me, it's happy hour with friends. It's a routine. Freedom to just do what I want, all those things. So I think I see coffee with friends. Cool. personal connection. Awesome. See, we're all dealing with different things. And what I think is really important is we have to name how we feel. And we can't play whack-a-mole with it. It's not something, the one thing I do know about feelings is that if you tamp them down, they don't just go away. They actually get bigger and stronger and sometimes can even metastasize. So I had a conversation with my therapist one time because a lot of us, I think, are really afraid of these deep feel, like the scary, dark feelings. And I remember saying to him, I don't want to feel these feelings because I'm afraid that if I do, I'm going to go into this dark place and I'm going to watch Netflix for 3 months and never come out. And I was terrified that that was going to happen to me. And he looked at me and said, Dawn, grief comes in waves. You will not drown. And that's what I want to say to those of you who are feeling stressed out or worried about, if I let these hard feelings happen, that I'm just going to feel like I'm going to drown. Because the thing that I do know is that if you're willing to feel that fear and be in the midst of it, and it is super scary, I know that you can come out the other side and survive. And what's really cool about that is that then you learn that you can face those things and you can come out the other side and survive. And it's also this really great gateway to a deeper understanding of yourself. The second thing that I want to say about our feelings that I think is super timely, another Brene Brown podcast. Basically, you need to listen to some of her recent podcasts. But she talked about comparative suffering and how we need not to compare our suffering to others. So I think it's really tempting right now to just minimize our feelings. Like for me, like one thing that stresses me out right now is going to the grocery store or getting my food and I'm going to wipe everything down. And I have caught myself numerous times saying, well, you know, at least I have money and I have a job to get groceries, right? And what she said is we need to be careful to not minimize our feelings, and that my feelings of being stressed about going to the grocery store are just as valid as feelings of someone who has lost a job. And also, if I don't allow, what she said was really cool is compassion and empathy are not finite. There's plenty to go around. And so if I don't allow empathy for myself and I basically say, well, at least I have a job, and don't empathize with how I'm feeling, then it also basically in turn makes me less empathetic toward other people. And that really hit me hard because I was like, I don't want to be that way. And so I think that's important for us to remember for ourselves and for our friends too, to not say things like that to them as well, because however we're all feeling, and some of us are fine with being home alone and some of us are, you know, are with a whole bunch of people. There's lots of different things that are happening with us. And this, the practice for this, I have this really great working with anxiety exercise that you all need to get in the download. It's super helpful and has saved my bacon many times. The third and final thing is cultivate curiosity. And this is where you basically I think that you take the first two things. So then the first one, you're pausing, you're learning to listen to yourself, you're learning to hear that inner voice above all of the other noises outside. And then you're learning to honor your feelings. And when you put those two things together, I think that it can actually direct you in really big and small ways. And there's so much freedom in that. So rather than this pressure to have this like one purpose and I gotta figure it out, you let curiosity lead throughout your life. So how I like to do this is and thank you, my friend Leslie, who I think is on this call, for the conversation that got me thinking about this, is follow where you feel the energy and just trust yourself in that. Notice what you're interested in and follow it, and don't be so scared about it. I think that we all know so much more about what we actually want than we realize if we take the time to listen. And I think knowing who you are helps direct what you do and not the other way around. And so for me, how this has played out in the last few years, for example, is I pay attention. I have noticed that I started having people often ask me to coffee, and they would ask a lot of similar questions, want to know about their career or life advice. And so I started paying attention to that and just started noticing that I got a lot of energy out of that. I actually made time over my work to do those things, even though I didn't get paid for any of it. So I started to pay attention to it. And I thought, you know what, I wonder if I offer one of these people who I'm having coffee with to do some more formalized coaching. I wonder what that would look like. And so I did that and loved it, and then realized, and then so now I've started to ask questions. What if I do more of this? What if I do more individual or group coaching? What if I were to offer you know, a larger workshop about and talk about grief and loss, things that energize me. So it's a pattern of looking at, in my stage of life, what's interesting to me and following that curiosity. And the practice for this is called Imagining You're Extraordinary. It is so fun. And you can read more about that as well, or feel free to ask me in the questions. But in the end, I'm still on a journey. I'm in the middle. By no means am I at the end. And I'm just learning to make the best way that I can. And I wanted to share with you guys what I've learned so far, things that I wish I had known sooner, in hopes that you guys know you're not the only one and that we're all in this together. So thanks. And there's some information if you want to contact me here. You guys will also get an email. Okay, so do I stop share slides now and we go to Q&A? Okay.
Brief interlude, talk amongst yourselves in the chat.
Now I can pay full attention to the chat.
It looks like we have one question in the Q&A too. Actually, a couple coming in.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Caitlin, will you read that? Because I am coming.
Yes. Okay. So Heather asks, can you talk more about how to give yourself permission? Sometimes I feel stumped about giving myself permission. Oops, it just disappeared for a second. Sometimes I feel stumped about giving myself permission to do things like pause because I feel guilty or selfish. How do I cultivate margin when life goes back to normal?
Oof. Those are big questions. Let's go to the first one. I think that giving yourself permission is a mindset. And I think that you have to tell yourself this often, because for me, I expect a lot of myself, and it's really hard for me sometimes to just give myself permission to for what I need. And so there's a couple of things. I think one of it is to know that it's really, to know myself well enough to know that it's really important that I need this time. And so if I notice that I'm stressed out and I need it, then I don't think it's selfish to take that time, because in the end, you're caring for yourself, which I think in the end helps you to care for other people even better. And so I think some of it is a mindset, and I think it's also really important to have people around you who maybe encourage you in this as well. So finding some friends who get this idea and who can encourage you to give yourself permission. I have a friend who often will say to me, how are you treating my Dawn lately? And she just says that to me to remind myself that I need to give myself permission to take care of myself. So I think some of that, a fourth one for me, if I would have had time, would be talk about gathering your yard. And I think of your yard as the people who are in your life who are really important to you and who help you care for yourself. I think it's super important. And cultivating margin when life goes back to normal, it kind of goes back to that example I talked about. I know it's a little simple, but when I was in Kosovo, like I really thought about it before I came home. Like, how could I do this and make space for myself? Because I knew I would come back to an onslaught of meetings and go. And I really wanted to figure out how to create some space. And so I think it's important to do things that are doable. So like, I didn't come home saying, I'm gonna like teach everybody to have coffees with me and not 2 weeks notice, because that just doesn't work. But I did think about, okay, I want to make sure that that I actually go to the beach on a regular basis. So at least every couple of weeks I go. I don't just assume it's going to happen. I also just make time for it. And I'll shut up because I know I'm answering it long. So hopefully that's helpful.
Awesome. We have another question of, can you talk a little bit about what imagining your extraordinary looks like, that exercise?
Yes. I just lost my chat. Okay. Yes. So what I like to do is I go to a place that I know is peaceful for me and quiet. So for me, I like to go to the lakeshore. Obviously, maybe not in the winter, but in the summer, I like to literally go there and just lay on the beach, maybe put some music on. And I just I close my eyes and I think about what is the most beautiful, extraordinary life that I can imagine for myself. It doesn't have to be reality at all. It's okay. Like, don't let your mind first go to like, oh my gosh, this is never going to happen, because that's not the point of it. The point is to imagine the most beautiful thing you can imagine, the most extraordinary life. And so that looks different for everyone. So, and you also, you view like, what does it look like? What's around me? How do I feel? What do I hear? Are there certain people with me? Are there voices? So you're bringing in all your senses. What do I see, feel, hear? What am I experiencing? And then you think about all that think about it in detail. Just let your mind wander about what you see. Like, where are you? Are you in a certain house, in a certain place? What's going on around you? All those things. And then I think it's also helpful after that. I actually think it's helpful to do this on a regular basis, because it changes over time. And you also clarify it. At first, it's really hard because you're thinking, oh my gosh, this is so unrealistic. But it helps you to clarify some things, and you'll start to notice patterns. And I also think writing it down is helpful for those of you who like to write. Or I have also done a slideshow of it before, where I pulled out themes of it and basically did a little slideshow for myself with pictures that helped me, that correlate with my extraordinary. So, and the whole thing is in the PDF. It'll run you through that, but that's the gist of it, is to do that. Hopefully that's helpful. What's my next question?
Tiffany is asking, can you talk more about comparative grief? I really connected with that. Why do we do that to ourselves?
Good question. I think it's natural to do. It's part of our culture. Like, you hear, I've noticed it all the time lately. Ever since I listened to that podcast, I noticed myself doing it. I noticed everyone doing it. And it's like, we're trying to minimize our fears a little bit, or minimize our reality, because maybe we think we look selfish. I'm not sure. But the way Brene was talking about it, I just thought it was so interesting that she was like, that is assuming that compassion and empathy are finite, and that you only get so much of it. She's like, it's actually infinite. And the more you give it to yourself, the more you give it to other people. The more you allow yourself to have your feelings, the more you're also allowing the people around you to have them. And I just think that is so helpful to understand and to kind of dig deep into. Did I miss any part of that question? I'm trying to remember what else that it asked, or did I answer it? Because I can't see it anymore. Or is it in the answer?
I think you answered it. Just talk about why we do that to ourselves.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. I just know that I think it's cultural, that I hear it all the time. And maybe even just for me, now I notice it. And now it allows me to I've noticed that it has allowed me to feel compassion toward other people as well, for me not to immediately go, oh my gosh, that's such a lame, like, she's stressed about that. Really? I mean, people are starving, but no, all of our feelings are valid. So it's a really important concept, I think.
We have one more question. If you guys want to ask a question, use the Q&A. And it is, I have so many ideas for what I'm meant to do, what my purpose could be, but I always get stuck because they don't seem financially viable. Do you have advice for how to disconnect from valuing money over fulfillment?
I could have written this question for myself. I mean, it's a really hard balance because you, okay, so I have so many ideas for what I'm meant to do, but I always get stuck because they don't seem financially viable. It's almost like, and I'm just going to speak for me, but I've sort of had to unhook the two and just decide that there are certain things that I'm really interested in that may or may not ever make me money. And I just want to, and I'm still going to become curious about it because eventually it could lead to something. And I don't know that. The thing it is I don't have a crystal ball. So I don't know if it actually will or not. And I might be assuming it's not going to be financially viable because I tend to like plan. I mean, what I had behind me a few days ago was this huge piece of paper that had all these sticky notes on it. I like to have things figured out. And this whole curiosity thing is really hard for me actually, because I like to have a master plan and like follow the steps. And so the curiosity idea forces me to be in the moment and not try to figure out all this planning stuff, because the reality is that I can't really know all those things are going to happen. I can just do the thing in front of me. So for me with the coaching thing is a perfect example. I didn't know if that, and I still don't, will that ever be financially viable? I don't know. But I was like, okay, I'm interested in that. I'm going to try it. I'm not going to like quit my other job and just do this. I'm going to keep the job I have, but I'm going to do a little bit more of this side thing and see if I like it and see what happens. Can I forecast? And it does stress me out because then I think I'm taking more time for that and not the other. But I've had to just sort of decide I'm going to follow that curiosity and let it and see where it goes. And I don't know, maybe it will bring me further into where I want. Hopefully that's helpful. I don't know that I have a really succinct answer for it because it's a hard question. And valuing money, I mean, there's a reality that you got to pay your bills, and you know, I have to pay my bills. I'm the only one responsible. So it's hard to balance that between wanting to be fulfilled and know your purpose. But I think that you can find ways to do it, and to kind of just like, what I do like about curiosity is it allows you to step into it and not just like completely decide I found my purpose, it's this thing, and I'm going to quit everything else and jump in whole hog into doing this. That's not how, I know some people do that, but it hasn't worked for me. So all right, does anyone else have any questions? I'm looking at the chat.
Right on the edge. Okay, so let's see. This is okay. Joel asks, there are many people in our society who are always facing trauma pre-quarantine and during quarantine. Now that our privilege is being inconvenienced, many people are up in arms. We should understand that we need to be empathetic all the time. It starts with taking care of ourselves, but how do other people make sure their needs are met while being present for other people? Okay, how do we be present while taking care of ourselves?
How do people make sure their needs are met while being present with other people? Oof. That's a big question. Like, you're stumping me a little bit. So how are people in our society who are always being faced with trauma pre-quarantine? Yeah. I mean, yeah, you're right. It is sort of rhetorical, but I think it's important to, you're right, be present to yourself, but also making sure that needs are met. I think that there's, but I do think that for me, the more present I am to myself, the more aware I am of other people. I actually feel, I've noticed in myself, the more compassionate I am toward myself, and the more space I give myself, the more permission I give myself to feel things and to be where I am, the more I notice other people, the more compassionate I am to other people, the more present I am to other people. And so for me, that's how it's worked. So hopefully that helps. But I do think that the more present you are to yourself, that it actually works that way. Oops, sorry, I muted myself. Didn't mean to do that. You're actually more present to other people when you are to yourself. Does that make sense?
All right, any last questions for Dawn? All right, well, Dawn, thank you so much for being brave and doing, being a part of our first virtual event. I love all these raised hands. Let's give it up for her.
Thank you, guys.
We appreciate you so
Thanks
much.
for your great questions.
We're also sending out a follow-up email after this event, and Dawn is kindly sharing more resources that go into more of what she talked about. So check for that in your inboxes. Give her some love in the chat real quick. And we are going to switch it over to Ashley from Am Yoga, who is going to lead us through a breathing practice. So help me welcome Ashley Yost from Am Yoga by using that nifty hand raise button. Ashley is the co-owner and co-founder of Am Yoga, located on the west side of Grand Rapids. She has been teaching yoga and meditation for over 8 years and has been practicing for over 12 years, with the last 8 being every single day. Her favorite thing to do is to share this incredible practice so that people can live their best lives and not take things so seriously. She's on a mission to live each moment fully and in gratitude. Ashley will be taking us through a breathwork exercise, so take it away, Ashley.
What's up, everyone? Can you see me? Oh yeah, that's good. Hi everyone, how are you? My name's Ashley, and I'm super excited to share this practice with you. I won't take up a whole ton of your time. Like she said, well, one of my favorite things is to make yoga not so weird. So it can be a little bit weird. So this breath practice is super simple, and the whole intention is, I'm gonna think of your lungs like a muscle. And so you have to strengthen it. And especially with all that's going on right now, having strong lungs is like key. And then reading all of your comments about like feeling anxious and your emotions, like every single emotion has a specific breath rhythm. And so if you can learn how to shift your breath, you can learn how to shift an emotion. So this breath practice is called 3-chamber. Super simple. You can do it at any time, as many times a day as you want. And it goes, so if you imagine your lungs like actually in 3 chambers. So you have the bottom portion, which is like kind of right, the lowest rib bone, and then the middle portion of your lungs, and then upper. And so what I'm gonna do is ask you to breathe, hold, breathe, hold, breathe, hold, and then we'll exhale it all the way out, okay? So if you can go ahead and close your eyes. It'll be a little bit weird because I'll have my eyes open, I guess, but so if you need to watch me, you can, but there's nothing really to watch. So go ahead and close your eyes, and then you're just gonna slowly take a couple of breaths just to like get in touch with your body. Notice where you're sitting, how you're feeling. And then just gently through your nose, take a slow, deep breath in. And then you're gonna exhale it all the way back out. And now this time you're gonna breathe just into the bottom portion of your lungs, and you're gonna hold your breath. And then breathe up to the middle portion of your lungs and hold. And then breathe all the way up to underneath your collarbones and hold your breath full. And then through your nose, you're gonna exhale that all the way back out. And then we'll do that again. You're gonna breathe in just the bottom third of your lungs and hold. Middle and hold. And then go all the way up and hold your breath. And then exhale it all the way back out. One more time, bottom of your lungs and pause. Middle part and hold. And then go all the way up, holding your lungs full. And then you're gonna exhale that all the way back out. And then just allow your breath to go back to normal. And then keeping your eyes closed, you're just gonna drop your right ear towards your right shoulder. So you feel a stretch out of the left side of your neck. And then go to the other side. And then come back to center. Take one more deep breath in. Exhale that all the way out. And then when you're ready and good, you can open up your eyes. So, can't see you, but I hope you feel better. So it just goes like this. You do 3 to 5 rounds. You breathe in, hold for a count of 2. Middle, hold for a count of 2. Upper, hold for a count of 4. And then you exhale it all the way out. That's it. 2, 2, 4, 3 to 5 rounds. And literally it will like change your inner state. And we were I heard you guys talking about like how to be present. Like you have to train yourself how to be present. And so the practice of yoga actually teaches you how to do that. And so being present to your inner state, the breath practice helps that. So that's it. Super simple. If y'all are feeling like you want a little bit more, Molly and I, Molly is my business partner that owns AM with me. We are offering our website that is like all full of yoga content for free right now. So if you need any more resources or support, there's a ton of videos, ton of podcasts on there that do like a lot of meditation, a lot of breathing, and then also like the physical yoga part. So all you have to do is email us. I can send, I think you guys can send an email to everybody. Yeah. And so it's just free right now to help you all out. Hope that was helpful. Thanks everybody. Thanks for having me. I hope we did it along. Good job.
That was awesome. Also, thank you so much for sharing all of that goodness with all of our Creative Mornings peeps. It's so kind. So kind.
Yeah. Welcome, everybody. So
let's give Ashley some claps, some comment love. We'll definitely, in the follow-up email, and somehow include some information to that. Ashley, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye, Natalie. Bye, everybody. Thanks.
Okay. Dawn, one last big thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your heart and vulnerability and all of these ideas that we need right now. We appreciate you so much. Thank you to all of our fabulous sponsors who are going to help us out when we get back into being in person. Can't wait for that. And we will see you next month. If you liked this format, or if you have any tips of the trade or suggestions, please let us know. This is so new for us, so we would love some support and feedback, but we miss you guys so much. I hope you have a great day. And we will talk with, look at those kiddos. You guys are the bomb. Anyway, have a great day. We miss you. And we will get through this together. Bye, guys.